Parshas Yisro, Tov Shin Pei Daled, Shabbos Kabbalas HaTorah. The Nesivos Shalom calls it over and over, like last week was Shabbos Shira, this week Shabbos Kabbalas HaTorah. And what that means is that every year when we come around to this parsha, this special siyata dishmaya in the air. You know, you have it on Shavuos also, but there's a special siyata dishmaya in the air for a new and a renewed Kabbalas HaTorah for everybody. So here's your chance. This week's shir is Leilu Nishmas Leah Bela Bas Doiv Yisrael HaKoyin, the mother of Yosef Motorpearl, the founder of this shir, and this Tuesday night will be her first yahrzeit. In addition to that, before we get rolling with tonight's theme in the shir, I want to wish two huge mazel tovs in our Bikur Cholim international family. Two of the leaders of Bikur Cholim, first of all, mazel tov, sitting right here, one of the leaders and longest members of our Nesivos Shalom Thursday night shir, Ramaya Brul, became a Zayda. And if you could really believe it, you know, they say kids have kids, but I see kids could have grandkids also. So we want to wish Meyer and his family, they should have a lot of nachas from many, many generations. Baruch Hashem, we know Meyer's parents also, who are now great-grandparents. And we want to wish them lots and lots of mazel and brocha and nachas from everyone in their family. The second mazel tov is to Rabbi Yehuda Kassira and family. The son got married this week. This week's the Shabbos Sheva Brachas, and they should have a lot of nachas from the new couple, and they should be zoichet to build a bayis neman b'Yisrael and take after the chesed ways of their parents. So we know, of course, how vital and important and fundamental the Aseres HaDibros are to every Yid. This week in our parsha, we're going to read about Kabbalas HaTorah, and we're going to read about the Aseres HaDibros. And we know it goes without saying how it really is a foundation and such a fundamental to every single Yid. But there's something very important that we need to think about too. You read through our parsha, before the Aseres HaDibros start, there's something very, very important that we need to internalize and to concentrate on. And you look at the parsha before and leading up to the Aseres HaDibros. And if the Aseres HaDibros and the Kabbalas HaTorah was such a monumental event, all the preparations and the lead-up and the hachonos and the instruction, which brings us to the Aseres HaDibros, the preparation for Kabbalas HaTorah, definitely gives us tremendous lessons for us today. As we said, this week, this Shabbos, you can have a chance to be Makabel the Torah once again. And if we were not up to par, if we weren't doing exactly what we want to do in a Kabbalas HaTorah kind of way, this is the week to do it. So we have to look at what the Torah tells us. How do we lead up to that? How do we get to that point? How do we make the achonos for a Kabbalas HaTorah? And the Torah tells us right before Kabbalas HaTorah, V'atem tiyu li mamleches koyanim v'goy kodosh. Now, everybody, could be you didn't know the pasuk, but now everybody knows the songs written with these words. V'atem tiyu li, what should you be to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Mamleches koyanim v'goy kodosh. And if you look at the pasuk, even before that, the pasuk says that what does Hashem want Klal Yisrael to be? V'yisem li segula mikol ha'amim. Right? You should be segula, like a treasure, more than all the other nations. Kili, Kol, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu saying that he wants Klal Yisrael to be, first of all, a segula, and then also a mamleches koyanim, v'goy kodosh. And it's interesting to note, too, says in Nesivos Shalom, how many times in the lead up to Kabbalah Torah, how many times in the Psukim we say, Hashem says the word li, that you should be to me. First of all, v'yisem li, segula mikol ha'amim, ki li chol ha'aretz, v'atem tiyu li. The Torah keeps on repeating this word, and we know that nothing is without reason. If the Torah of Hashem is saying this word li, that you should be to me, for me, it must be trying to teach us something. So Nesivos Shalom brings Mefarshim who explain that the pasuk of Ve'atem Tiyuli Mamleches Koyanim is actually explaining how to become the Segula Mikol Amim that the pasuk before that says. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, B'yisem li Segula, you should be a treasure, you should be an oitzer, you should be the most chashuv thing. How do we come to that? The next pasuk. V'yatem tiyu li, the way to do that, the way we become special, the way we become unique, is to be Mamleches Koyanim v'goy Kodesh. And what's Mamleches Koyanim? Mamleches Koyanim teach us to be like a Kohen. We have Kohanim sitting in this room. They have to know what their job is. What's the job of a Kohen? The job of a Kohen is to spread the word of Hashem and to get others to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Look at their job, what it was in the Beis HaMikdash, what it was in the Mishkan in a couple of weeks. We're going to read about the job of a Kohen is to get others to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when we act like Kohanim, the Torah is telling us, Mamleches Kohanim, when we act like Kohanim, then we are doing our job. We are, Klal Yisrael is the Kohanim of the world. Just like in Klal Yisrael we have Kohanim, but Klal Yisrael in general, Bnei Yisrael, are the royalty, are the Kohanim of the world. We, as Klal Yisrael, have to be the ones to set an example. We act differently when we do that. When we act differently than all the other goyim of the world, then we are a segula. Then we are a treasure of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And you know how we stand out and act on a higher level? How does one do that? We act like a goy kadosh. We have to understand what the word kedusha means. The Ramban tells us in Parshas Kedoshim that the way to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how does a person connect? We want to connect with Hashem, is kedusha, is to be kadosh. As we see, the pasuk says, "Bonim atem Hashem alekeichem." Pasuk in Devarim, right? The Chumash Devarim. "Bonim atem Hashem alekeichem." Your children to Hashem. Why? How? Ki am kadosh atol Hashem alekeicha. The reason you're children, what keeps you being close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That you're an am kadosh. Uvecha bochar Hashem. You, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose you. Why? Because we are an Am Kodesh. Lios Lila Am Segula Mikol Amim. That's how you become, once again, the word Segula, that we become that way when we are Makbid, when we have Kedusha. And the Tanai, to be a Segula, is to be an Am Kodesh. And we see it from the Torah. Segula, like we said, it means like an Oitzar, a treasure of Hashem. And we are that because of, and if we are an Am Kodesh. And having said that, we can really understand why the Torah seems to put so much stress on the inyan of Kedusha. We see here before Matan Torah, we speak about Kedusha. Next week, in next week's Parsha, the Torah is going to tell us, V'amshei Kodesh Tiyun Li, once again, Kedusha, Parsha Shemini, by Macholot Asuros, when after the Torah lists all the animals and different creatures and insects and birds that you can eat, the ones that you can't eat, the Torah says, V'his Kadosh Tem V'yisem Kedoshim, that you should be Kadosh. And of course, in Parshas Kedoshim, the Torah talks about Kedusha 3 times, and more other times in the Torah too. The Torah keeps repeating this inyan of Kedusha, that we are holier, we are different, we don't do what all the other nations of the world do, and we don't act like them either. We don't find anything else in the Torah that is repeated so much and as much as this inyan of Kedusha. And you know something, it's interesting, this Kedusha, it's not even counted, according to most Mefarshim, it's not even counted as one of the 613, one of the Taryag mitzvahs. And why? I mean, if it's so important, the Torah repeats it over and over and over again. So why talk? I think only the Ramban might consider in Kedoshim that maybe it is a mitzvah, but most Mefarshim do not consider Kedusha to be one of the Taryag mitzvahs. And why would that be? The Torah talks about it so much. The explanation is as follows, that it's not like any other mitzvah. Any other mitzvah, the Torah tells you what you have to do, and you do that, and that's a mitzvah. But Kedusha is different, says in the Nesivos Shalom. The Kedusha is not, it's not a mitzvah. Kedusha is a requisite and a tanai to be a Jew. And just like, if you take a look in the Taryag mitzvahs in the Torah, there is no mitzvah that tells you have to be a Jew. Right? There's no Torah doesn't say anywhere that thou shalt be a Jew. Doesn't say that. Why? Because every single one of the mitzvahs is only said to a Yid. It's only said to a Jew. So there's no actual mitzvah that a person has to be a Jew. The rest of the Torah is only nogea to a Jew. And so too, the same thing is by Goy Kadosh. That an Am Kadosh, Kedusha for Klal Yisrael, is a yisoid and a requisite of being a Jew. It's not listed as one of the mitzvahs. If you act like a goy, if you don't have Kedusha, if you don't restrict some of the things that the people of the world are doing, you're supposed to act differently. If you don't do that, you're not fulfilling the requisite, the foundation of being a Jew. So the Torah tells us so much about Kedusha, and the Torah, Hashem keeps saying the word li in our parsha, in the psukim so many times, li, for me, to me. Why is the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is delivering that message, that this is the way we become part of Hashem. You want to become part of Hashem. Hashem is telling us before Kabbalah Torah that besides the actual Torah that you're going to be receiving, besides for all the mitzvahs, besides for the S.S.S, the first thing you need to know, you need to internalize that message of Kedusha. A person can keep the entire Torah, he could do lots of mitzvahs and lots of chesed and lots of good things, but if he's lacking Kedusha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, you're going to be missing out being li, you're going to miss out being mine, you're going to miss out what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to be the foundation of every Jew. That even if one is Mekayim, all the Taryag mitzvahs, if you don't act with Kadesh Atzmacha, even b'mutter lach, that a Jew, things that are mutter to do, eating is mutter, whatever you do, going to work, whatever you do, you have to create a Kiddush Hashem. You have to show that you're different, that we live by a different set of standards. And if you don't understand that message, we see from our parsha that you might be missing the boat. So you can have all that, you can have the Aseret, you can have all the Taryag mitzvahs, but a person has to know that Kedusha, Midos, the foundation of a Jew comes before Derech Eretz Kodma HaTorah. Sometimes we say, in other words, without Derech Eretz, there is no Torah to put. Derech Eretz is the wagon, is the chariot that the Torah rides on. Kedusha is the foundation of the building that the Torah is built on. And that's a lesson when we think about Kabbalah Torah this Shabbos. We have to understand that yes, there's a Kabbalah Torah, but how do we lay the ground floor of that house? How do we lay out, how do we prepare? Tomorrow, Friday, you want to prepare for Shabbos. You're going to prepare Hachana for Kabbalah Torah. This is something to think about. To become one with Hashem, to think about this inyan of Kedusha, Segula, that as Klal Yisrael, we act differently and we are a different nation.